My husband gets involved in an accident and he's bedridden, so I get 3 jobs so I can afford to get him a nurse and whatever else he needs. Can you guys believe, while I was out at one of my 3 jobs, what he did behind my back with his nurse? Oh. I'm 31 and female, and I think I'm in love with my brother-in-law, Mark. Shocking, right? Don't be worried, I think I have the perfect reasons to feel this way. If you're curious about Mark's marital status, he's unmarried, he's single. I don't think he has dated anyone, even though I've known him a little longer than I know my husband, Jason. What about my marital situation? Well, now that's where things get a little complicated. My married life has not been the most amazing in some time, and it's grown even worse in recent times, so it's difficult to explain. I have reasons to explain my situation, although I have reasons to explain myself. I would leave it up to you to tell me if I'm in the wrong. I would gladly take any advice or suggestions, but hear me out first. It will perhaps bring your attention to another tale of a failed marriage. Jason got into a car accident 8 months ago. It was his mistake, but his ego does not allow him to admit it. Instead, sometimes he blames it on me. However, first, let us discuss other things. Because of the fractures and subsequent shock, he has been bedridden since. He can move, but he still needs help. I took care of him myself until the 3rd month of the accident. Now, I'm not complaining. Jason and I have been together for 7 years, so it was an easy decision to take care of him. His parents and Mark, his younger brother, often visit to check on us. It was mostly for his sake, but it worked out well. Only Mark paid enough attention to my situation. He often asked about my health, a habit Jason forgot to continue even before the car accident. Even though Mark's inquiries sounded so sincere, I avoided letting Mark know everything. Mark was like a friend long before Jason came into my life. I could have shared my anxieties with him, but Jason's verbal attacks have always been hurtful. They were hurtful even before we married, but I've always been aware I could do similar damage if I felt upset. That kind of awareness helps make sense of many issues at times. Unfortunately, in recent times, it's gotten even more vicious. I don't mean to say I don't do that sometimes, but Jason knows where to hurt. I, on the other hand, do not. Jason would always grumble after Mark's visits and wreck the peaceful environment at home. Jason's parents often attributed this behavior to his condition. They believed the same even when he behaved rudely to them. So, you get the idea, it was blind love for their son. Some parts of his behavior made sense, I must admit it. Jason's condition is indeed quite pathetic. Now, you must think that was a mean remark from me for my husband, but I'll come to you with the proper explanation of my use of such a rude word. Years ago, when Jason and I first met at the little coffee shop, things looked like they would work between us. Jason showed no interest in anyone other than me, and I did reciprocate the exact same feeling. It was fun, and it was amazing. Not only that, but Jason kept his promises and was true to his words, something that he no longer does. I already knew Mark, so that made it easier for me to meet Jason's parents. A year later, we married. Jason's parents agreed almost instantly, and it took little from Mark to approve of our marriage. Mark and I had known each other for a few months by then, and this marriage only promised to strengthen that friendship. In essence, it seemed to be going well. Jason never did anything that could hurt our relationship, and at least it was not tangible. It was passionate at first, and then it got a little mild. We grew a little apart just a few years into our marriage. I've always attributed that to our jobs. They took too much of our time. However, that was not all. Fast forward to this year, when Jason and I had our first serious argument. If you guessed, yes, it revolved around Mark. That's correct. I'm unsure if I can explain where Jason was coming from, but he claimed he was incredibly jealous that Mark and I had known each other longer, and there was always a possibility that I could cheat on him. It was an obnoxious claim, and I told him the same. In all the years that I've known both brothers, I've never done anything to warrant that remark or accusation. Mark and I were friends, and we kept it like that. To make sure Jason understood that point, I repeated it. I did that several times, even though I had no need. He calmed down for a while, apologized, and got into a car accident on his way to the office the same day. He always claimed it was not his mistake, but everyone knew it was. The police reported the same. The hospital found alcohol in his system and he had been drunk driving. The idea that the accident happened because of our confrontation made me feel a bit guilty and responsible for the condition. It did not help that Jason often claimed the same during his angry, frustrated fits, although I never told Jason's parents about it. I did say that in front of Mark. Mark, for his part, chastised me and assured me that it was not my mistake. I could not have known Jason would go on driving drunk. He had never done that before, so no assumption could have been made by me. Jason has been bedridden since the accident, and I'm sure you're all well aware of the drawbacks of our healthcare system. Jason's condition ran us dry, broke. Jason's parents, they were not doing very well, and asking them to help pay the hospital bills embarrasses me. It was almost the same case with my parents. I assume this never reached Mark either. He did ask if I needed help a few times, but I avoided him as much as I could because he had recently joined a new job. I was sure he was not earning much. Anyways, to deal with the situation, I picked up another job. Although it did not pay well, it was helpful. I carried on with the job and cared for Jason after my office. I continued to work as diligently as possible, seeking the promotion that I knew would help my case. Unfortunately, this passionate search mixed with a bedridden husband was not the most beautiful combination. In simpler words, it got tiring after a while. I could not manage it any longer. It gained attention at both jobs, and my managers at these different jobs called me into their office within the same week. They first gave me a verbal warning, but I knew I had to be careful from then on. I hired a private nurse 3 months after the accident. The home care nurse, Amanda, was suggested by a friend. It was a private nurse company, and Amanda was one of their favorited. She had a good record and long list of satisfied customers, although hiring her was painful for my financial situation even more. I accepted another job opportunity to make things work better. It paid better than the other two, so I had every reason to continue. Jason seemed bummed about the presence at home and claimed that he was uncomfortable with her. Wow. He wanted me to hang by him and take care of him, even though he knew how bad it was on me. However, by the time I had returned from my shift, he was okay with her. I don't know what changed his mind by then, but I assume it makes sense after what I found out about them. As you can expect, Jason and Amanda had to spend time together because of his condition, right? However, it was supposed to stay professional. It was an arrangement between a patient and a nurse. To my utter dismay, it did not stay like that at all. I hired Amanda 3 months after his accident, and my husband had cheated on me with her by the 4th month. The only important thing is that I did not know of it until I came home early one day and accidentally stumbled upon them. I have to admit, it was disturbing for a moment. I kicked her out in the same state I found her with my husband. I'd silently decided I would inform her company about it as well. You would expect Jason to cry, beg for forgiveness, but nothing like that occurred. Ironically, he tried to jump on with me with his baseless assumptions of my character and relations with Mark. Jason seemed agitated, probably because of his condition, I'd assume, but otherwise carried on with his stupid claims. After he said that he did it because he felt lonely and unloved by me and needed some care, I lost my cool. Jason claimed that he felt unloved because I was so busy with my 3 jobs and could no longer pay as much attention to him. Then Amanda came, and he felt right about her. She gave him the care and love that I could not. The whole affair started 2 to 3 weeks after she became our care nurse. I found it out in the 6th month. Incredible, right? I hope none of you has to deal with a cheating partner like that. Anyways, Jason's claim should have stopped there, but they did not. After saying so much, he returned to his old age jealousy of his brother. He claimed he was sure something was going on between us and only made sure that he would not get hurt by his brother and his wife. It was the most ridiculous claim I've ever heard. He wanted me to believe that he cheated because he felt I would betray him with his brother. An eye for an eye? The ironic thing was, I have never done anything to warrant this behavior. I was really true that Mark and I had known each other for a long time, but nothing was going on between us. There was a possibility, because Mark was the only person willing to help me out of my tight situation. He found out about my 3rd job soon after I picked it up. Mark helped me financially, even though I did not want to burden him to do it. Sometimes we did meet and chit-chatted, and, whenever he came to our place, but even so, I had not crossed any boundaries. Neither did Mark do anything offensively, but Jason continued his claims. When I could no longer stand his cheating self, I went to my parents. I informed them of the situation, and they immediately asked me to file for divorce. It did not make sense, they said. I had done so much for Jason, but he destroyed it all because he misjudged my feelings and could not control himself. By the next afternoon, I had the divorce papers in my hands, and I went to confront him with it. To my utter disbelief, he called Amanda for help and left our home. I did not know where he left to until I received Mark's call late at night. He informed me about Jason's sudden presence at his home. Upset at everything that happened that day, I told him about my decision. It took him by surprise, and I assumed he did not know about my situation, and Jason had done nothing to fill him with it. I was glad he had not poisoned his brother's mind with lies. Even then, if there had been one person who has helped me through this situation, it's Mark. I have proceeded with the decision for divorce, and he has stood by me throughout it. There was a major confrontation at the first hearing between the two brothers. Displeased at Jason's erratic behavior and ungrateful attitude, Mark called him names in between strangers. Jason, for his part, blurted out some ridiculous things. He said he had zero interest in me, and that if Mark cared so much about me, Mark could marry me because he could not care any less. Every time Jason opened up his mouth, it was utter nonsense. To egg Mark further on, Jason said he did not feel attracted to me. Did he mean that he cheated on me because he wasn't attracted to me anymore? Most likely. Amanda was present beside him after all, and it was shocking, honestly. I believe if he had said anything more and had been in a better condition, Mark and he would have got into a physical fight. Before anything like that could happen, we separated the brothers. We'll get another hearing date, and I was sure I would finally be free from him. Jason was not the center of my world anymore, however. In the weeks following the first hearing, I moved on with my life, and Mark stood by me in the following months after that day. We have indeed come closer. It's like we're proving Jason correct, but that's not the case. Life has not been fair to me, and the only person who has understood that besides my parents has been Mark. It makes sense why we're so close. It was Mark who helped me through my tough times, and Mark encouraged me to work for a better future after I nearly gave up, after a brief confrontation, after the first hearing. Mark dealt with his parents and brother, and I stood my ground when the lawyer proposed me as the new owner of Jason's house. I had already wasted so much of my life on Jason. I did not care anymore about his feelings, about his emotions. Besides, the court ordered him to pay a small amount of alimony as well. The house was only a repayment of everything that I've done for him. If not anything, I was sure this would teach him an important lesson. Well, it's been a few months since then, and I have not met Jason since that day. We did not have any communication in these few weeks. and I now live in the home, alone. Mark, or sometimes my parents, they come and visit me. But I don't have much to say. Mark and I are indeed thinking of marriage. Before you tell me my ex-husband was right to assume anything, I must say, well, this is the consequence of recent developments in our lives and our friendship. Nothing of what I feel today was ever present when I was with Jason. I remained faithful, but Jason did not. In Mark's case, however, we have dealt with many emotional ups and downs. That's why we've decided on this. I'm sure some of you must have seen it coming. Hopefully your assumption was not sardonic. Before I leave, I want to refer back to the question I asked you in the beginning. Am I wrong for loving Mark? It took us months to reach here, but I sought an understanding person. It just happened to be my longtime friend and my former brother-in-law. Did I do something wrong? I'm willing to hear you all as long as you're respectful and mindful of your language. However, I must tell you so far, we have only thought of this. We've not proceeded with it, and I'll come back soon with much to say. Please don't forget to tell me, well, your thoughts. Update number 1. Hey guys, I'm aware that it's actually been quite some time, right? Well, if you're curious about my situation, you've not missed much. Yes, I've experienced some moments in these few weeks, but you must have expected at least one. I'll get to that right away. Last time, I said there was no contact between Jason and me. That was true, because there was no contact between us. I felt more relaxed. Months passed by, and even his parents did not contact me. I heard from Mark that Jason was living with their parents. It was not going well, but they managed somehow. Anywho, the point is there was no communication between us. I dropped one of my 3 jobs and continued with the other 2. Eventually, Mark suggested a better place, and after clearing the interview, I picked up on that and dropped my previous 2 as well, and Mark spent most of his days at my house. We grew so close together. It was peaceful, this is what I wanted to say. Until a more physically stable Jason came barging into my house with 2 of his friends. I'm unsure what their intention was, but they were trying to scare me. Jason said he wanted the home back, and it's his. I replied it was an order, it was mine. He should have not cheated on me, and if he had not cheated, he would not have to deal with this situation. This was an eye for an eye. However, as if this was my fault, he gets angry at me. In anger, when he raised his hand to me, Mark deflected his attempt. When Jason's 2 friends got involved, the confrontation, I immediately phoned the police. I knew that the 3 friends had nothing but trouble in their minds. Their appearance looked rowdy, unclean. The police took a while to come, but when they did, they were quick to deflect the situation. They caught the 3 friends and took them with them. Mark was left uninjured, but he was overall well. I patched him up and let him stay for the night. The next evening he came to my house from his office and proposed. He said that he had observed that his parents put little effort into managing Jason and he had little trust in them. Even so, he wanted to be by my side and I loved him. I said yes. Yes, we're getting married. Mark's parents came over to talk about it. They felt sorry that Jason had hurt their other son, but they still wanted me to do something and take back the case. I refused to do that. They left in anger, but I could not believe their audacity. We're no longer connected anyways, at least not through Jason. However, to make it more real, Mark agreed to shift in with me after I asked him the same evening. It was a nice change. His parents did not come in anymore, and I'm pretty sure that they don't even know about it. At least for now. Well, guys, you must have expected at least one of them, I'm sure. These 2 completely different events are why it took me so long to update. Hopefully, it will not be another long wait. I have already informed my parents, and Jason plans to do the same with his family. I do not assume a good outcome, but he wants me to stand by him regardless of their reply. If it gets bad, He said he'll cut ties with the family. I'll let you know what happens after this. Whether good or bad, I intend to return soon. Please drop your thoughts as they go. I can do something more about Jason? I'll wait and see. Update number 2. It is most certainly going to be a short update. I apologize once again. I tried to be quick, but adulting is not easy. Adulting is especially difficult when you deal with issues like I do. I did not ever think anything would be easier for me, but I expected them to be more tolerable. So, I'll quickly sum up everything that happened in the last 3 weeks. It's not much, but I hope it keeps some of you entertained. Mark told his family of his plans. His parents, as some of you guaranteed in the last update, did not like the idea. They did not take it warmly. If anything, they just went berserk. I'm glad I was not present at the family home because, well, according to Mark, they had much to say about my character. Jason was still in jail and would be for a while, so he did not respond until his parents visited him later in his jail cell and informed him of the same. I don't know how he reacted, but I'm glad he's far from us. Mark's parents, on the other hand, tried to talk to us about the situation. They agreed what Jason did was wrong, but they could not approve the marriage at all. Mark did not care much about their remarks, though. He asked them once and then twice, and when they persisted in their answer, he told them that he would give them an invitation, and it's up to them if they wanted to come to the wedding or not. He has had a few arguments with them over the phone, but I'm unsure if anything has been fruitful. Honestly, we have not planned anything for the wedding. The entire occasion is still in its initial phase. We're still discussing the matters at hand, and the fact that even though the thought sounds so repulsive to Mark's family, it unnerved me. The contrast between the days leading up to my marriage with Jason and leading up to my wedding with Mark is interesting. Even so, my parents have given their blessing and have asked us to move forward with the marriage. They believe we will make it work. Well, I hope for the same. I don't want to end in a similar situation as I did with Jason. Taking such big steps in less than a year seems like a little frantic, but Mark has proved himself a trustable man. I'm willing to take this step for him. The next update will most likely be the last. I hope the only thing I'll update about my, events are the wedding. Am I doing the right thing? Or have I taken the wrong step? I'm still curious to hear you out. If the suggestion seems logical, I will work on these issues. Please let me know your thoughts. Update number 3. Hey, it's been 3 weeks again. I will apologize. It's also going to be the last update because I have good news. So I hope it makes it up for the delay. We've agreed on the date of the wedding and it's happening. Yes, it'll be happening next year, but we have a perfect reason to do that. My parents understand the decision, and I cannot say the same about Mark. They did not look enthusiastic. The point is that I've realized that I may or may not have been moving too quickly with this. Your suggestions and advice have also been helpful to me. It's indeed true, and Mark and I have discussed it frequently. It would be better to wait just a bit. I'm afraid that making the wrong decision could trigger my anxiety. In the meantime, Mark has shown hope that perhaps his parents will come around. Jason will not be out anytime soon, so we will be free from him at least. Additionally, there's a little for me to update. Mark has recovered from his injuries fully, and I'm in the process of recovery. The job Mark suggested is quite good. I see opportunities that I did not see before. It's helped me deal with my past and my issues as well, and I'm grateful to Mark for that. I will, however, thank you for keeping up with my story. I appreciate it, guys. Honestly, I'm just happy OP got rid of the toxicness and found somebody that she can love, even though it was her ex's brother. I mean, the way that her ex cheated on her with the caretaker, first of all, what kind of caretaker would do something like that and risk her job just to go with a client? I mean, that is absurd. But luckily, OP and Mark seem to be pretty happy with each other, even though the family, at first on Mark's side, was not really down for this. I do want to hear your thoughts about it. Maybe, if you were in OP's position, you would have done things differently. So go downstairs to our comment section, leave your thoughts and your opinions on this story, guys. My name's Mr. Reddito. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want more daily videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and just remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya!